You're listening to Pondering Pennies with Demspy and Rae.
All right, episode 5 of Pondering Pennies with Demspy and Rae, coming to you live this week with Cortes. He is first generation Mexican American, came to the United States at the age of 8. He's now in the military. Nonetheless, is dirt boy. So yeah.
Demspy, Rae, thanks for having me. Definitely a pleasure. Long overdue. I've been trying to set this up forever, but you never want to have me on the show, so it's cool.
That's 100% a lie. I've been trying now since episode 3, and you keep flaking the stuff you do at work.
It'd be like that sometimes. We're busy. What's up, Rae, though? Seriously, how you been?
You know, a bad man. Just working a lot, playing a lot of video games per usual. Just living life.
He doesn't play video games with us anymore. Rumor has it he's like, Ray's terrible and I'm done carrying him in Warzone.
That's not even true. I try to play games with you all the time, and every time I text you games, COD, you're just like, nah, too tired. Just got home, or I don't know, you make up some dumb excuse at the time.
We need the facts. It's in here right now because literally yesterday, Lego still at work. Fake news. Sent the picture at work. Fake news photoshopped. Later on. Lego got home 20 minutes ago. Too tired. Hashtag unreliable. Hashtag it be like that sometimes. Pretty weird, right, Ray?
I think it's weird. I never see him on video games. It's always Demspy and I that are playing games. Nobody else.
Be quiet. You don't fucking know.
He does know.
You don't know.
I am online all the time.
All the time.
We're doing Secret Santa this year. We're doing Secret Santa this year, and everyone in the group already decided they're getting Cortes Head and Shoulders to fix all that fucking dandruff you got because you're so flaky.
You're stupid. For real, so
I use Head and Shoulders. It's just nice.
All right. Let's get into it. So, first generation Mexican American, right? So you were 8 when you came to the States?
Yeah. So what happened is, obviously living in Mexico, specifically Mexico City. My mom was single with 2. So I'm the oldest one, and then my middle brother. Kind of never really had like my father in the picture, and the few memories I do have of him, definitely not the nicest. He didn't really care much for us. He just wanted to be around my mom. So I guess the tipping point for us coming over was that my mom's mom passed away. And if you all don't know, family in the Mexican culture is everything. We grow up all living in the same house until you pretty much pass away. And then that house goes to the next person in line. And they raise their kids there and their grandkids. And that's how it is. So when she passed away, my mom just was heartbroken. And, she had me when she was 17. And then she had my brother 4 years later. And so I don't think she ever really learned how to cope with serious emotions and life traumas. So her first reaction was to just move away from our family home. We moved away a few hours away. And then I think it all just kind of caught up to her. And she decided she wanted to immigrate over. So the thing is that my mom's biological parents lived in the United States. They lived here legally. Her mom, that I mentioned earlier, is actually her adoptive mom. But she called her mom because her biological parents left her when she was like 6. So to my mom, her biological parents were strangers. They knew that she was in a tough place. So they're like, hey, we'll pay to get you over here. And obviously that means, we're going to pay to get you over here illegally. My brother and I had no idea what was happening. All I remember is that literally overnight, she's like, "We're leaving." All we had was a backpack with a change of clothes. We left our house, literally left our house door open, and we just walked out, got in the car, hopped on the plane to Tijuana, the border of like California and Mexico, and we stayed there with some family until the person that was going to cross us over came to pick us up. And it was my brother and I first. And the people that picked us up were like two middle-aged white ladies in a Suburban, nice ass vehicle, like the nicest car I had been in my entire life. You know, keep in mind that we came from a family with no money. And so they're like, "Yeah, we're going to cross today." I remember them saying the Border Patrol agent is going to be on this lane at this time. So we just have to make sure that we reach that. And so we said bye to my mom. My brother and I hopped in the car. They gave us a bunch of sleeping medication. And they just told us, if they ask you any questions, your name. I remember my name supposedly was George. And so I was like, okay, I'm George. And I'm like, what's up?
Curious George.
But they're like, "You're George, you're 9 years old." That's literally all they told me. But they gave us so much sleeping medication that they were just banking on us to stay asleep the entire time. I guess because of the environment I was brought up in, I have just always been so self-aware of my surroundings that I knew exactly what was going on. Like my younger brother, he didn't know. He was just in the back asleep. But I knew what was about to happen. And I fucking woke up as we were at the checkpoint. And I do remember the Border Patrol agent, they handed him the visas or the passports to cross. And I remember him looking at me, and obviously he knew, you know, they paid him off.
Okay, that's why they said this dude is playing this time, because he was part of the whole operation. How much was getting paid to bring you across? He was like getting his cut.
Mm-hmm.
So were they like fake passports, or how does that work? Did they just have some 9-year-old dude named George's passport, but here you go, kid, that they like got stolen or lost or whatever? Or did they have like some janky ass fake passports?
I think it was probably their kids. Like they had kids themselves that were our age. And so they probably just showed their passport. But the dude knows. I mean, for everyone that has a passport, you can see it has your picture in the front.
Yeah.
And like, unless their kids just happen to look exactly like me and my brother, they're going to fucking know whether I'm asleep or not. They're going to be like, "Hey, this George kid is fucking white with brown hair, and this guy is black hair. He's dark brown. Like, hey, George." So they fucking knew, you know, and it was a quick, like, "Okay, yeah, you're good to go." And just like that, we were in the United States. The scary thing was not knowing when my mom was going to get there. So these two ladies drove us to my grandparents' house, and that was it for them. So I think my mom came like 3 weeks later, and I'd never been separated from my mom, so I was really scared. And then she finally made it, and I asked her how to go, because, you know, me being naive, I thought like, how was the car ride, you know, because that's how we did it. So I'm assuming that's how you did it. And she's like, no, like she was in the trunk with like 3-4 other dudes. And she was in there for like 2 hours. And obviously the agent was still paid off, because you know that they check that they make you open the trunk. They check the underneath of the vehicle. And she was like, "Yeah, I was in the trunk, but she made it." The crazy thing though about all this, literally my mom got to the United States, and we were staying in the Sacramento area, California. We got there that morning, and she went out with her sister that evening to celebrate. They went dancing. Well, that same night, she met my stepdad. It's just like that.
Oh, really?
Which is fucking nuts.
The one you guys have the one she had your youngest brother with.
Yeah, literally that same night she met him. And then like just a quick crazy thing too, it's like my stepdad is Mormon. And for those of you that know, or if you don't know, if you grow up in the Mormon religion at the age of 18, right after you graduate from high school, you're not forced to, but you're highly encouraged to serve a mission. The mission, you can kind of think about like, I don't know a way to put it, but you pretty much, the church offers you a place to go. It could be anywhere in the world. They'll give you a home, but you still have to pay rent for it. And it's not free by any means. But they say like, hey, we feel that the church needs you in Argentina. You're going to go there and serve for 2 years. And you can choose to take it or not. If you don't take it, it's highly frowned upon. But the crazy thing was that my dad, or my stepdad, had his mission in Mexico City. And so he knew Spanish really, really well. He lived there for 2 years. And he loved the culture. And my mom literally just came from Mexico City. He served his mission in Mexico City. They went to the same places. And then the crazy thing was that he literally lived like 2 blocks away from us.
Dang, she could have been like out and about doing random errands and stuff and like seeing each other and didn't even realize it until years later in California.
Yeah.
I know, it's crazy, right? Like they literally were that close to each other the entire time.
How'd he end up in California after the fact? Because I'm from California originally.
So my dad was born, and I'm just going to refer to him as my dad because that's what I see him as. He was actually born in Utah. His family moved to California. That's where he graduated high school, and that's where he went to church. That's where he got assigned to his mission. So that's why he was in California. And at the time, he was a landscaper. He had his own business. And that's what he really loved. And that's why he was still there. Just mowing lawns, stuff like that.
Okay. So, big question. You come to the U.S., you have fake passports and stuff. I'm assuming you didn't keep the passports and stuff. How do you get established with IDs and everything? And like, how does your mom get a job? Because kids or anything, but I'm assuming you need some kind of form of identification to prove who you are to get enrolled in schools and stuff. Or can you just, can your mom just bring you to any public school and be like, yo, this is Mike. He was born in Santa Monica, and like we're good to go. And then like, does your mom just walk around to random establishments? Like, does anyone want to pay me cash under the table because I have no documents?
So it pretty much, for school, you don't need anything but a bill
To prove you're like
to prove that you're a resident in that school zone. So when I got enrolled in school, I got enrolled through my grandparents because they already were established. Even then, they were still illegal immigrants. They had been there for years. So one of their daughters was a resident and a citizen. So a lot of stuff went through her. So they just enrolled us. But in all reality, it's not even that hard to enroll someone into school. We never had issues with it. Granted, we also have my dad, who is an American citizen. But so I didn't have an ID, and we didn't have passports. We literally had nothing. All we had was like our birth certificate and stuff, but that's all from Mexico. So what my mom would do is she would work at like mostly restaurants owned by Hispanic people that understood, because there's a really big community for that and support, because not that there's a stereotype or people assume, but a lot of the times people immigrate out of a necessity. Even though we weren't bad in Mexico, my mom was a nurse, so she was making good money. She was still young, but she was making good money. But it was just that necessity to get away because she knew that my brother and I would not go anywhere. I mean, shit, you and I have known each other for a year and a half now. Do you think I would have the things I do now in Mexico?
No, probably not. What is people's is like the timeline or the difficulty of immigrating really that insurmountable that people just seems like you're taking a lot of risks, especially with kids doing it illegally versus if you just went through the proper. And obviously, this was early 2000s at this point when it happens. So things and the climate were probably a lot different than they are in 2023. But it seems like there are like quotas or like bona fide reasons to be able to immigrate. Like, what were the snares with that? That wasn't an option, or was that like explored and didn't pan out?
So it's expensive, and there's appointments that you have to meet, fees that you have to pay. And the people that want to immigrate to the United States are because it's most of the times because they're poor, So I think it becomes like almost a desperation. They're like, I can't afford to pay the fees to apply and potentially get denied. So I think the desperation starts taking over as a parent. Like, what am I going to do? If I stay here, my kid is going to end up doing the same thing I'm doing.
Is the standard of living really that different? Like, you come to the U.S., you got no papers, you're kind of working minimum wage jobs, like as a waitress or busing or line cook or something. So, like, versus doing that in Mexico, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, pay might be higher, but cost of living is also higher. So, does it not offset each other? Is life working for minimum wage in America really that much better than working minimum wage in Mexico? Because Mexico doesn't have minimum wage. I don't know how that works.
I would say it is. Obviously, never worked in Mexico, but a good perspective is even with my mom just being a waitress, how much does the waitress earn? Like fucking in all reality, like 3-4 hours an hour, and they rely on tips.
Yeah,
we're still living better. Our establishment, even if it was an apartment, was better than what we had over there. And that was in Mexico. We had help from everybody chipping in. It was still better. Schools, even the shittiest school here is still better than some of those neighborhoods in Mexico. And I'm not saying all of Mexico is bad, but it's, as someone that grew up in Mexico, being over there, I never saw anybody that had the means that even a low income family have here. And so I do think it's better. My uncle over there became an engineer, not an engineer, architect. His pay doesn't match of an architect here. He and I probably make more than him, and he has a legit degree in architecture.
Yeah, I don't know about in Mexico. I'm assuming it's relatively the same, but that's a 4-6 year degree in the States.
Yeah, he's the only one in the family that's ever finished college, and he's doing well for himself over there. But it still doesn't match even what I make here, And I'm not. My job is not even grandiose. I'm just,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
So wait,
So it's like,
I got a question.
What's up? Right?
So go back to the time you were 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say none of this ever happened. How was life living up? How were your living conditions living up to when you came over to the US? Like, did you like it there? Like, let's just hear a background of how it is like living over there. And if you still never went through the process of coming over to the US, what do you think life would have been like over there?
Life before we got here, because I didn't know any better, I actually enjoyed it. But keep in mind, my mom was a nurse, so she was making decent money for us. But I didn't really love being around my family at all times. Like, there was always somebody home. And when the house was full, it was probably like 20 of us. And we would all eat dinner together. You know, the young kids, they would be like, hey, we're going to eat in an hour. Here, have this money. Go buy soda and buy the fresh tortillas and come back so we can all sit down and eat. My cousins were there. You know, I was playing soccer, but it was like soccer on the street. Like literally, like the goalpost would be somebody's door on one side and then somebody's door on the other one. So I can't really say my life was bad. I did have a lot of adult responsibilities compared to someone that's 8-year-old here and in Mexico. Man, at that age, my mom worked night shift. So I had to wake up my brother, get both of us ready to go to school, make us breakfast. Then we would walk about a mile to school. And then when I would get released, I would wait for him. And we both walk back. At that point, my mom's still sleeping. So I would make us like lunch, maybe early dinner. I make a little bit for her. She would wake up, get ready, talk with us for a little bit, and she's out. And I would put us to sleep. I would get us ready for the next day. So that was my normal life before that. Where would I be now if I would have stayed? I don't even know, man. Like, my cousins are heavy, I don't want to say drug addicts, but they're definitely like low-key criminals. You know, I see the stuff they do sometimes. I had to like stop talking with them just because they were so toxic. You know, toxic.
Toxic. The buzzword of Cortes. Toxic.
Like growing marijuana in their houses, just getting high all the time, getting girls pregnant. You know, I don't know where I would be. I don't think I would be where they are. I think I would have made something of myself. At least I hope so. Just because my character and the things I've seen and had to do. But I still don't think I would be where I am today. Now, my middle brother, I think he would have gone down a bad path. Because, not that he was baby per se, but he didn't have to grow up as fast as I did. And it's very easy in a city like Mexico City, in a low-income neighborhood, to just follow the crowd and follow the money.
Some people are heavily influenced by the people around them. Like some saying I like to say is like, oh, he's only as good as the company he keeps. Because some people are just so heavily influenced by what other people do. They're not leaders or trendsetters or anything. There's nothing wrong with that, but they just kind of follow the crowd. And if the crowd is a bunch of hoodlums, they're going to do a bunch of hood rat shit.
Yeah, so to answer your question, Ray, I enjoyed it, but I didn't know the struggles. I was just an 8-year-old kid enjoying my life as best as I could. Would I change what I have now to go over there? No. I love my family, you know, but I would never do that. Even with my uncle that is an architect and he has the best job in the family, I still out-earn him. When my grandpa passed away late last year, I funded that whole thing because they didn't have enough money. And that's the whole family pitching in. I don't think it has anything good for me anymore.
Since you came over here, has your mom like reconnected with her biological parents at all? Or was it just kind of like a relationship out of necessity when you first came over?
It was out of necessity. She has never been able to rekindle that relationship. She does not like them. And she's made it clear to them that she feels extremely betrayed because they left her as a child. They chose to come to the United States to give themselves a better future, but left 2 of their kids at the care of just whoever would take them at the time. So she
Was
heard
the
my
king
story.
planning to bring her like after the fact once they were established and things kind of just fall through, or was it straight up like more like a baby at the fire department kind of thing?
Baby at the fire department. They didn't even send money or anything. I didn't even know I had grandparents in the United States. That's how absent they were.
That's crazy. Is your mom a citizen now?
Yeah, we're all citizens.
Did she like apply, take a test, all that stuff, or did she go like the naturalized part, just here for so long and was able to apply at that point?
Yeah, so after we made it, we were illegal for years. We were just literally trying to not get caught, which was the scariest thing. Seeing cops I would just freak out because in the community, Hispanic community, especially illegals, you just avoid cops, police, immigration altogether. Like, if you really think about it, that's why more Hispanic communities are migrating north, because the farther north you go, you get further away from those immigration checkpoints. Because if you ever go to like California, South Texas, like not Galveston, because it's more towards like it's not butted up to a Mexican border, but like San Antonio, stuff like that, you'll start seeing those immigration checkpoints on the freeway where they will literally stop every vehicle and ID everyone in the car.
Yeah, I just verified real quick because I couldn't remember what it was. For some reason, I was thinking it was like 300 miles, but that seemed really far. Immigration checkpoints, like immigration, anywhere within 100 miles of the U.S. border can just fucking set up shop and be like papers. It's kind of crazy. Think of the U.S., you think freedom, you think movement of freedom unhindered from state to state. Like, think of all the states, how small they start to get in like the Northeast region, like New Hampshire and all those places. And like 100 miles can cover a lot of distance in those smaller states.
Yeah, so it was scary because in the place where we ended up living, there was a checkpoint. We hated going by it because at any point we could get pulled over and they just check your IDs. And obviously, if you don't have one, and bad as it sounds, but you meet the stereotype like, oh, you're Hispanic, you don't have an ID, they can pull you over and arrest you. And like I'm talking about, it's like the whole freeway, all 8 lanes going one way and the other will completely stop and you will get your ID checked. The first 2 years, pretty much just living in like low-key hiding. My mom walked in order to avoid driving and getting pulled over, so she walked everywhere. With kids, they didn't really mess with kids. So my brother and I we go to school, take the bus, come back. That's it. Luckily, we had my dad, and he would drive us everywhere. But we didn't really start working on fixing our papers until he ended up enlisting in the Marine Corps. So he enlisted and he left for boot camp in South Carolina. Is it South Carolina or North Carolina? Parris Island?
The Marines, I think, have 2 different boot camps.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
But it sucked because we couldn't even go see him graduate. We couldn't hop on a plane and go. It was too dangerous.
Were they married at this point?
Yes.
And him being married to somebody without papers, did it like cause him any problems enlisting, or did they not even care or ask?
So it didn't cause some problems enlisting because, I mean, let's be honest, they'll take anybody.
Yeah.
They got to meet the quota.
Especially back then. That was still probably early 2000s, maybe a couple of years removed from 2001. The surge is still going on in the Middle East after 9/11.
Yep. So no issues. But the issue arose when he got orders to Japan. And I mean, obviously, you and I know very well requisites need to be met for you to travel to an overseas location with your dependents. So he told them that my family, they don't have papers. So they're like, you can't go. You can't go until you fix it. So it was actually really cool of them. They pretty much canned his orders, and they're like, start working on your paperwork for them to become legal or permanent residents before you become a citizen. So it's a long process. It's really long. You have to pretty much prove that you married out of love and not for papers.
How do you do that? You just go to the courthouse and be like, we love each other.
So you have to prove
It's a weird thing to prove.
Yeah,
It reminds me of that movie, I Now Pronounce You, Chuck and Larry, back in the day. The two dudes getting married.
but you got to think about it though. Like if they just hand those out to everybody that gets married to an American citizen, that could almost become a source of income. You know, you're a white male. I was born in the United States. Hey, yeah, sure, I'll marry you. Obviously, I'm not going to maintain anything. Give me $2,000. Go ahead, get your paperwork, and then we'll split it. You go do it again. Go do it again.
I feel like there would be some kind of way to check that, though, like show us bank statements that you're not receiving.
So you do. The way
That's called something, too, right? When you pay for stuff like that or when you're sending money back home, that type of payment is called something. I can't remember the name of it.
So pretty much the way my mom did it was she kept all their letters from when my dad was at boot camp. And keep in mind, they had been together for a little bit. We had all been together. So we had pictures of us taking trips. You know, we had memories showing that, like, hey, this has been going on even before they got married. Like, they met each other out of pure interest and not like my mom trying to reach a goal of getting documents. So she built this massive binder, which is photos, letters, you know, letters from friends saying I've known them for this long and they've shown that they love each other and that the relationship is like pure and it's not out of
Transactional.
yeah. And so because to get an immigration lawyer is really expensive. They didn't have the money. So my mom did it all. The scary thing was because you know you do all this, you pay the fees, and the last step is you go have your appointment, your visa appointment. The visa appointment is in Mexico. So that means you have to leave the country. And so we got to that step. And the first two appointments, because there was three of us, my mom and me and my middle brother. The first two appointments were for my mom and I. And it was in Ciudad Juarez, which y'all talked about the cartels a little bit ago. Ciudad Juarez at that time was like popping off with cartel activity. So not only we had to go to Juarez by ourselves, that was scary, but also the fact that we knew that I was most likely going to come back by myself, and my mom was going to be in Mexico for anywhere between 3 to 10 years waiting for her visa to get approved, because that's usually the normal time that people wait.
Does it take that long to like do background checks and everything, or is it just like the process we went through for our suppressors with the ATF? There's just like such a massive paper log of all these documents, and they just don't have the manpower to process it in a timely manner.
I think it's a mixture of that and the fact that you still committed a crime. You know, you cross the border legally. They got to hold you accountable some way. You know, they can't just turn around and give everybody free access right there and then, like, I forgive that you committed a crime. You're good to go. So we went to Ciudad Juarez, and I will say for kids that came to the United States illegally under 18, because of your parent, it's an automatic approval. And that's why I said I knew that I was going to come back. But it was her that we were scared, you know. I might have to be separated from my mom for years. The crazy thing is we went to our appointment. First of all, we saw some dead bodies. It's nuts, like just fucking pieces of a human on the road. You saw all the cartels. Yes.
Macheting people up in the streets.
I mean, I didn't see him committing the crime. Like we walked out, we were like, damn, this is real. The sad thing is I wasn't even so surprised or taken back because the neighborhood in which I grew up in was pretty nasty too. But anyways, I digress. We go to our appointment. They're reviewing her binder. And they're like, damn, like this looks nice pretty much. Just a lot of attention to detail, a lot of work. And they tell me like, well, your son's okay. He's good to go. And then they start reviewing hers and they're like, pretty much just take a seat. We'll call you up when it's your turn. I think it was like 3 hours past. And we're just sitting there in the waiting room. And there's a shit ton of people, dude. Like when we pulled up to this office, the line was out the door and like around the block. It was a massive amount of people there trying to fix their documents. And the crazy thing is she got approved right there and then. Mm-hmm. They're like, this was done so well. And yeah, we both came back to the United States legally that day.
What about your brother, your middle brother?
He had his appointment later on, but it's like I said, under 18, didn't have a choice. All they did was go back, get his stuff, came right back. It was crazy. We were extremely grateful and lucky. That's rare. The crazy thing is at that time we were all Mormon, and I know, now I don't really believe in any religion. Firm believer. If you're a good person, good things will happen. So when we were Mormon, everybody knew our situation. And the whole congregation, I'm talking like 200 members, the Sunday before we left to go to Ciudad Juarez for our appointment, they all fasted for us.
Is that like a form of prayer?
Yeah.
And in the Mormon church, like fasting?
Yeah.
Half with somebody?
So usually you fast the first Monday of the month. But this one was kind of like, in a way, dedicated towards our family. Like, hey, kind of, how people say, like, send prayers your way, something like that. So everybody fasted for us. And it was such a sweet moment. Just seeing everybody genuinely care about this family and go that far to fast for the whole Sunday. It sounds like it's just a day, but that can be difficult, especially when you have kids that don't understand why you're fasting and stuff like that. But everybody did it. And so it was pretty badass coming in next Sunday, with my mom there. And it's like that fear that we carried for years was gone. And now she could get a legit job. She can go back to being a nurse. She could get a driver's license. I could get a driver's license. I could enlist, which is what I wanted to do. We were not citizens, but we were permanent residents. And somebody could live with a permanent resident status for the rest of their life if they want to.
What's the difference between permanent resident and citizen? You basically good to go on all fronts. You just can't vote.
Pretty much. And with a permanent resident, you have to renew every 5 years.
Okay.
So
like a background check or something to make sure nothing weird's going on in order for you to stay.
And the sketchy thing with that is you could forget to renew. I don't know how you could forget something so important. Something could happen, but you could still get denied. Even if you've been a permanent resident for years, they could say like, nah, we're denying it. You have until this day to go back to your country. You have to be a permanent resident for 5 years before you can apply for citizenship.
God damn. A long time.
Yeah, it is. But we got to go to my dad ended up picking up his orders to Kadena again. So we went to Kadena, Japan. And then when we came back,
you guys, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Once you got that permanent residency, were you guys able to get passports to go to Kadena, or were you just traveling on his NATO orders to Kadena, or how'd that work logistically to get you guys put on his assignment?
We just got passports.
You got passports?
Yeah, because you can get a passport with a
military no fee passport or just civilian passport.
that I think about it, and now I know what a no-fee passport is. I'm pretty sure it was a no-fee passport because it was all done on a military installation. But yeah, we got to go to Kadena. My youngest brother was born at that time, so it was awesome having him. And then we came back. I enlisted. When I enlisted, for those of you that don't know, if you enlist into the military as a permanent resident, one of the perks you get is to become a citizen at the end of your basic training. So then I became a citizen. Then it was my brother when he enlisted after me, and then my mom became a citizen last year. So
what made you decide, right? Because you said your dad joined, and he joined the Marines. You went Air Force. Your brother went Army. Was the little brother going Marines next? Is he a little, light on the feet or something going on there? Why all different branches?
So my dad, the Marine Corps, because my dad has always been like that tough guy. For me, I wanted to join the Marine Corps because it was just, he built that pride in us, and he was a very proud devil dog, as he called himself all the time. I mean, that's their mascot. That's what they're known as. He was a very proud devil dog. But when it came down to it, he was honest with me, and he told me, don't do it. Don't join the Marine Corps. Like, yes, there's pride and there's discipline, but there's more to it than that. But that's all they care about. And you will be treated like shit pretty much day in and day out.
Basically saying, if you're not joining because you want to be a Marine above all else, there's better branches, options, and you're wise to join stuff.
Yeah, so he pushed me towards the Navy or the Air Force. And I went to a fucking air show in Miramar, California, and I saw everything that they did. Naive me was like, I want to fly a jet, Little did I fucking know. It's like the 1% of the 1%.
I'm going to be the next Ace F-35 flying over Kiev, shooting down Putin cronies.
That's very fun. So, like, I want to be the fucking Mexican Maverick. Obviously, I wasn't naive when I fucking enlisted. It came down to two options: finance or being a dirt boy. Heavy equipment and construction.
Finance. Gotta love it.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing, though. I wanted to be, growing up, I really wanted to be a certified public accountant. I fucking loved doing accounting stuff. I took classes in high school. I just loved money, and I wanted to do it. So my recruiter was cool enough to tell me, like, hey, yeah, I do got you in finance, but then there's this other job as well. Thinking about it now, he just wanted me to leave faster. Because he was like, if you go into pavement construction, you can leave next month. Or you can take finance, but it'll be like 3 months. But yeah, it came down to those two. And I just ended up choosing pavement and construction, which is pretty much construction for the Air Force.
When did you join? 2013? Early 2014?
July 2015. I left on the 14th.
Damn. What was BMT like? Was it everything you thought it'd be and more? Were you in one of the Disneyland places or one of the decrepit places? I don't want to dox you. You don't have to say the name of the squadron, but
I was on Disneyland. Yeah, I was the second or third flight through that specific door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful place. Wonderful.
It was. I enjoyed it. Granted, living or growing up with the Marine Corps dad that was like hardcore about it prepared me super well. I always had a military haircut. I would fucking wear a camo t-shirt and camo shorts and a camo backpack to school.
You were all in.
Yeah, dude.
His respect. U.S. soldier.
Yeah, I got picked on like crazy because of that shit, but like,
Bleed them.
yeah, I grew up in it, so it was easy.
I mean, this was like in the Boy Scouts and stuff too. So I mean, you're
I was,
like an outdoorsy kid. It's not like you were
yeah.
plopped in front of a TV watching Coco Melon decked out in your camo.
Well, being in the Boy Scouts is a big Mormon thing. Almost every Mormon will be in the Boy Scouts. So, but I fucking it. I loved it. I loved it. I had a great experience for the 6 years I did it. But anyways, my dad was the type of dad. It was like, you're not going to walk with your hands in your pocket. You're not going to chew gum while walking. You're not going to walk on grass. It's going to be yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Wait. So you saying that now, right? You saying, you can't chew gum when you're walking, can't drink when you're walking, eat, no hands in the pockets. How does that feel now in the Air Force with them changing those rules?
I'm not gonna lie. At first, it bothered me a little bit, but I'm also a big believer that if you don't adapt, you're gonna get left behind. And trust me, I know both Dempsey and I know people that get stuck in the old ways and they just get left behind because all of their energy is being spent on something that they can't fix or they don't have the right authority to fix. So all they spend their time doing is complaining and reminiscing on what it used to be instead of what it is. So it doesn't bother me. But there's nothing I can do to change it anyways. Just adapt to it.
Yeah. I mean, adapt and overcome.
What's the slogan? You probably know it. Adapt, change, or die. Well, they changed the die part to lose because it wasn't as well received. They straight up, I like the die part. They're like, oh, it's a little rough. I don't know if we got to say die. And then General was like, all right, lose. I'm pretty sure it's like adapt, change, or lose.
And you gotta be realistic.
Yeah,
you may fucking die if you don't adapt.
No. Yeah. So after BMT, you go to tech school to be a dirt boy. What is a dirt boy realistically? What's the factual name of a dirt boy? What does a dirt boy do? What is tech school like for a dirt boy? How long is tech school? What is tech school? You got, I don't even know this, but we're blowing up and we don't even know nobody no more. So, listeners, I probably don't know what a dirt boy is or what tech school means.
Shit, all right. So, dirt boy, the official duty title is pavements and equipment. Mm-hmm. Our tech school is in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and it's 4.5, 5 months long, depending on the time you get there. What do we do? Do all branches go through that same shop? Or there's Navy, Army, and Marine Corps there, and we are with the Navy and the Marine. Navy and the Army. Pretty much the entire first 6 weeks until we get to Air Force Uniques. Air Force Uniques is literally just Air Force members. Marine Corps, they're there. We see them, but they're not integrated with us. They're the only branch that is separated, even though they're doing the same thing. I don't know why. I do know that whenever the Army and the Marine Corps were in the same location, there was always fight. The fucking Army just thought they were the hardest human beings alive at that point. And then you bump them up with the Marine Corps, they have that same stigma, and they just fucking fight all the time. But, so what do we do? That's broad. In tech school, they teach us how to operate backhoes, loaders, graders, dozers, excavators, how to use a forklift, like 10K forklift. I'm not talking about, like a warehouse forklift. It's an actual big ass forklift. Rollers, pavers. They teach us how to pour concrete, how to lay asphalt, fencing, street sweeping. Some of our more specialized schools, We can go to Concrete World that teaches us all about concrete. We can get crane certified. If you're picked for this one, you can do like demolitions. You can do quarry work, like crushing rock with big ass equipment. You can work at an asphalt or concrete plant, like if you're Red Horse, make your own asphalt and your own concrete.
Because Red Horse with CE, is there every aspect of CE in Red Horse, or is it only certain shops? Because technically, Dirt Boys are part of Horizontal, right? The Horizontal shop.
No, we're two different flights.
Okay.
We're like brothers.
Goes just by itself and then split into vertical, horizontal.
Yeah, but Red Horse, that has everything. Red Horse is like their own mini little wing. They have cops, medics, Dirt Boys, electricians, plumbers, everything that you would need to set up a remote base. I unfortunately never got to be Red Horse. So I was CE, base civil engineer, which we do a lot of maintenance. But when I deployed, it's when I got to do those bigger jobs. But it's honestly such a good job. First, the camaraderie, which is what got me pretty much to love the job. If none other. Wherever I went, every time I deployed, every time I met a Dirt Boy, it was like meeting a brother. And I know people say that, but it literally felt like that. It was, we're proud. So wherever you go and there's Dirt Boys around, you're bound to see them by their shirts because they're always wearing a Dirt Boy shirt. So I would see the shirt, I'd be like, where are you from? They tell me, it's like, I'm a Dirt Boy. And then they'll be like, I'm a Dirt Boy. And it's just like,
did we just become best friends?
Pretty much. Just spark up the conversation. It's like,
did we just become best friends?
Yeah, then we just kick it off. It is badass. We are a hardworking group of individuals with a lot of skills, a lot of varied skills. I think you can be a good all-around Dirt Boy. But since there's so much, you usually end up flourishing in one section or one aspect of being a Dirt Boy.
You gotta have SMEs in each thing, those subject matter experts. When a guy that's reading concrete and gets it perfect every time, some other dude's got zero defects every time he lays a road for asphalt and so on.
So for me, my favorite for laying asphalt, I don't know what it is, but I love the smell of fucking hot asphalt. It's like, if you ever smell it, you know what I'm talking about. The texture, how it feels like. Earlier, I was watching a video of this fucking lady make a cake out of marshmallows. And so she like melted it, all the marshmallow. And when she picked it up, it was like this consistency that's a little bit squishy and sticky. That's how asphalt is when it's hot.
I've never handled or worked around hot asphalt. But you ever seen the commercials for moon sand growing up as a kid?
I had moon sand growing up.
You had moon sand? Did you have moon sand as a kid? Right?
Oh, I didn't hear Ray. It just cut out. I don't even know what moon sand is.
You don't know what moon sand is? Young kids these days. Anyway, picture it's sand, right? I don't know why they called it moon sand, but like it was. I'm assuming it's fake sand or whatever, but it would like clump easily, and wouldn't get all over the place. Picture like Play-Doh and sand if it had a baby, so your kid can play with it inside without just making a mess and destroying your house and having sand everywhere.
That's what it is. I want to say I had it before, like I've used it when I was a kid, but I can't remember like a specific time that I've had it.
That's what I imagine hot asphalt being, like moon sand minus the temperature.
It pretty much does in a way. Granted, like you don't ever really touch it when it's like that because you'll fuck yourself up real bad. But like
the forbidden moon sand.
Yeah.
Just want to cotton feel.
If But I loved it. That was my like niche. I was good at asphalt. I could fucking lay it, and I loved it. And it was just, I mean, you know my work ethic. To put that into asphalt, and then my other thing was operating.
Did you always show up late too for asphalt line day? Just want to clarify.
Shut up, Ray.
You didn't do anything to you.
No, I did not show up late because I would get in trouble. I was a young airman. I could not afford to show up late. But and then operating, I understood equipment. I grasped it really fast and really early, and so I could get shit done, especially with the skid steer or the grader. The reason I got so good with the grader, it's my first deployment. I almost lost my finger on a crane lift, and so I had to have like reconstructive surgery. Like somewhere in the Middle East, doing a crane pick, moving a bunch of T-wall barriers. I think they weigh 14 tons. They're about 13 feet tall. It's all concrete. And so somebody has to go up on that ladder because on the top of the barrier, they call them the nipples.
Yeah, the two cables kind of offset from each side a little bit there.
Mm-hmm. So usually the airmen would be the ones that would climb, and the NCO would be the one operating the crane. So I climbed up there, and I'm sitting on top of the barrier, and the hook to hook up to those nipples, it's weird. Like they called it a bottle cap, like because like on a can they have those things at the top, but you used to open the can. It literally looks like
this.
Yeah.
How does it connect then if there's no... Because that's a closed loop.
You twist it, and it goes into the little hole, and then you twist it back, and it locks into place. So what happened is when I was hooking it up to those nipples, the crane operator put tension on the line, and it just pinched my finger. And the thing is, I didn't feel anything. Well, obviously, I felt the pinch, but I was like, I told him, like, go down, go down. He goes down. And like, I finished hooking it up. I hop off, move over to the next barrier, and like, my fucking finger is just throbbing.
Do you have gloves on?
Yeah, I had gloves. And my finger's throbbing. And I'm like, what the fuck? So, like, I go to take off my glove, and as I, like, take it off, and it comes off of my middle finger. You see it fucking dangling there. Yeah. And I was just like, oh shit. And I just started bleeding everywhere. And I remember like signaling at him like, yo, look at my finger, like, it's not good enough, bro. And I'm still 13 feet in the air. And now I'm bleeding all over this barrier. Everyone starts freaking out, and I think I was in shock, but I'm pretty sure I have a high pain tolerance because I've broken numerous bones, shit like that, and I've just been like, not cool about it, but like I don't freak out. It's just like, yeah, it hurts, but I'm not dying. And that's kind of how I was acting. And they rushed me to the little clinic on post. And I'll never forget this because it was some stupid ass butter bar army medic. And he's like, wow, that's really bad. And that looks really gross. And I don't want to touch it. Can you clean it yourself?
You wanted to de-verge yourself? De-verge yourself?
Yeah, so he pretty much gives me this little tray with, I don't know what was in there. He's like, yeah, just go ahead and clean it and hold it there. And then we're going to figure out what we need to do. And like 3 hours passed, and they're like, okay, no one's answering their phone, so we're just going to take you off base. I was like, motherfuckers, I've been here for 3 hours cleaning my own wound because you don't want to touch it.
Get wrecked.
Yeah, it fucking sucked.
You could wear yourself a medal for that. Finally, say it on member. They didn't know that was you.
They asked if I wanted to go home.
Really?
Yeah, I was 3 months in. They're like, you want to go home? I was like, no, this is my first one. I didn't want to fucking go out like a pussy.
Mhm.
I was like, I'll fucking stay. And then they're like, there's not much you can do. I was like, I can operate. And like, not that dirt boys don't let young airmen operate, but as an A1C with less than a year experience as a dirt boy, you usually don't get to operate. Your work involves shoveling, sledgehammering, dump truck, the bitch work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the worker bee, you're bottom man on the total pole.
Yeah. So they're like, I guess you can do that. So I just hopped in the grader every day until I healed. It was like 2 months. And that's all I was doing every single day. I got decent enough where I would come in for work and they'd be like, all right, Cortes, hit this road up. Once you're done with that, hit over to this job site, clean this up, and then hit over to this one and continue working on it. So like they would give me like a task of roads that I would either have to upkeep or, almost start laying the groundwork and forming up that path for vehicles or for equipment that's going to go through there. And it was badass because I would just come in the mornings. I pack my little cooler. I mean, you've been deployed, so like at the DFAC, they used to have the tuna packs.
Mm-hmm.
So I grab like 2-3 tuna packs, Gatorades, the Rice Krispies, and some fruit, put them all in my cooler, take it to my grader, and I just be gone all day. 4:30, 5:30, I come back, top off my grader, clean it real quick, turn it off, go into the shop, and I'm done for the day. And I did that for 2 months. It was a dream. I go out in the desert, because outside the base, it was like legit desert. I would go out there and I would pull out my grader blade all the way out and I would just lay on it. And it was like a fucking dream, dude.
Baywatch, Middle East style.
Very much. I loved it so much. I contemplated getting out and just great for a living.
So heavy equipment operator, civilian side.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're probably 1 hour mark here. Before we start going down the short rabbit holes of bases, deployments, if you think you're going to do 20, what you planning on doing when you do get out, when you get out, take a quick bathroom break. As you and Ray both know, I have a condition I've eaten recently, so I'm a ticking time bomb right now.
Nice.
If you enjoy listening to Pondering Pennies and want similar content, check out Almost Everything. Almost Everything features 2 Australian mates, Tim and Lewis, who discuss their week and provide their valuable input on what's happening in pop culture. Almost Everything features conversations with guest listeners who discuss genuine dilemmas while Tim and Lewis try solving the issue. Search Almost Everything Podcast on whatever podcasting platform you use and go check them out.
We're back from the bathroom break. This is actually our second time back from the bathroom break because Ray proceeded to text us 30 seconds into the recording talking about what we did on our bathroom break.
I'm sorry. I was upset with you.
So if you get a little emotional, we can't trust you to sabotage the entire operation.
Oh my God.
But I will recap. We established that Ray likes nuts in his mouth.
We did establish that. He's got these fancy little ice cream bars that help him watch his hourglass figure, and they're filled with almonds because he loves nuts.
No, I saw them in my fridge or my freezer, and they looked good at the time. So
did you say I saw them in my friend? So you saw your friend's
in my
nuts?
freezer. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna do it.
Did you know there's no country in Africa that starts with a K?
Oh my God! Stop with this.
Yeah,
I heard this last night.
Not a single country in Africa starts with a K.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. Fact finder.
Fact finder? What, do you know of a country that starts with K?
Hold on.
Do you know, or are you looking it up?
I hate you. I absolutely hate you.
What? There's no country that starts with K.
There is. There's one of them, and I'm not going to say it because I'm not.
What is it? The viewers want to know.
Kenya.
Can you suck these?
I saw it coming.
Saw it coming from a mile away. So before the bathroom break, we're talking about employment. You were living the life because you purposely injured yourself to live easy.
Well, I did not. Obviously, almost lose my fucking finger.
That's what it's like to me. The middle
My wife's most favorite finger too.
The middle finger. That's interesting. That's interesting. You were just playing her butt like a bongo out there in the other room during the break.
Yep.
Yeah, he got that water all over the floor because he was just like, just getting it.
Look, there's gonna come a time where it's gonna be old, shaggy, or I'm gonna be dead, or I may fucking lose all my fingers and I can't do it anymore, and I don't want to slap her with a stub. I'm gonna
There's a mallet.
So I'm gonna do it while I can.
Yeah, fair enough.
I hate you guys so much.
What? I mean, he doesn't play video games with us anymore, but if it wasn't for me, who would you play video games with? You gotta like us.
Me, myself, and I.
Me, myself, and I.
I told you, I tried to play games with you.
You don't. That's a lie.
You don't know that.
Let's see all right, let's sign in and see the last time you were even online then.
Ooh.
Well, it's on you because I appeared offline, and I've appeared offline for the past 7 years.
How do you appear offline then for us to send invites and see you online, man?
See?
Because that's just through Call of Duty. But if you actually look at my Xbox profile, I've appeared offline for years.
What are you trying to hide?
It's just some
Do
annoying.
you really have your green card? Who you hiding from?
They're shutting me down through Xbox Live.
I'm going to send them the IP address.
So you're knocking on the door? Yeah, All right. Before we go too far down the rabbit hole and I say something that gets canceled, what was your favorite? Where are the places that you've been to? Keep in mind, OPSEC is more than just a purple dragon. I don't think about that.
Well, then I can't really say. Technically, they were undisclosed locations.
Okay.
But
All Middle East?
yeah,
How many times?
3 times. 3 times in 5 years.
Dang.
It's a lot.
That is a lot.
Averaging 7 months. Because, like, I didn't know this until, like, my second deployment. But some career fields only deploy for, like, 3 months at a time.
What?
Yeah. But I think ours were 6, but let's be honest. By the time you actually get on a plane and on your way home, you're pushing close to 7. I average time on AOR 200 days. Every time. So I was a little bitter when I found that out.
When GWAT first kicked off, Global War on Terror, like all the branches were running on 4 months.
So when I was back at that duty station, we were the number 1 most deployed to the East Squadron in the Air Force. We would literally come back and our shop would be full for maybe 2 months tops before the next 10 to 11 people left. It would bring down the shop to half manning, so we'd have another 10 to 11, and they would come back. 2 months later, we'd be gone. So I'm working with these dudes that I barely know because I don't see them. But I miss it, to be honest. I never thought I would say that. The current position I'm in, I've been non-deployable for the past 2 years.
Just a desk pirate, just an 8-hour flower. Just riding the desks, living the life.
I wouldn't say living the life. I would trade this job any day to go back to being a dirt boy.
Living the dream, one nightmare at a time.
Nightmare for sure. You should have been there on Friday.
Where?
You should have been on games on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, I was on games Friday. You never invited me, so.
You did? What? I didn't invite you. We played together yesterday. You ding dong.
Not you, you ding dong.
Your friends are a bunch of ding dongs. We're playing right before we go down this rabbit hole. We're playing. Me and Ray are killing it. We're both double digits, like 10, 11, 12 kills each. His friends got 0 and 1 kill. They're pushing through the storm. We all have gas masks. I die on the edge of the storm. I'm crawling. I'm like, pick me up. Like, no, we can't do it. We're going to die. We're going to lose. I'm like, don't pick me up. You're liabilities. One guy's left, right? They take off. They leave in the storm to die. Storm's not even moving. They can just come get me. They both push into a building, 2v1, die, lose the game, get second place. I was like,
to be fair, though, we did win 2 games after that.
When was this?
That's night.
That sounds a lot like that one time we were playing. And it was you, Ray, myself. I was dead. So it's just you and Ray. Last circle. Or like last storm. I think it starts where the ones they start to move inside the storm. We were on the rooftop and you went down. And then Ray freaked the fuck out and he put down the, what's it called? The one that blows out that oxygen that keeps you safe in the sun.
Oh, yeah.
The PDS system, when the storm is not even on top of you guys, he's freaking out. He lets you die and he dies.
So the PDS system emitted gas.
To be fair, I didn't know what it did. I didn't know what it did, so I put it down. It was hoping that it was doing something.
It was just throwing shit against the wall.
The thing is, there was nobody that could hit you because you had the highest building in the current map zone. But he freaked out.
All right.
No one ever said it was good under pressure. Anyways, besides deployments, what bases have you been to? How many bases have you been to?
Man, only 2.
2? Yeah,
I got stuck in my
before coming to where you're at now, or is that the second one?
This is the second one. I was at the last one for 5 years.
5 years. I mean, that's nothing crazy. And allegedly, I've heard of people doing 14, 18 years at the same place.
Allegedly. I am excited to see where I'll go next, though. Mm-hmm. I'll find out in October.
Yeah.
Maybe Alaska.
Alaska would be nice. Plan on retiring in Alaska. Spent a lot of time in Alaska. As you and Ray both know, I'm a wandering man. Done a lot of jobs, been a lot of places. It's the promised land, you know? Where were you at before here?
South Carolina. I loved it. It's so cheap.
Like the area, the base, kind of everything.
It was, maybe I like it because it like really set me up for a good future. Mm-hmm. Like, to be honest, I came into the Air Force broke. When I went to BMT, my family was not in a good place. I left my debit card to my mom. I got out of BMT. She gave me my debit card back. I headed out to Fort Leonard Wood. Checked my balance. I was negative $35. I was like, fuck, I don't have anything to my name. And at that point, I knew I was going to marry my wife. And, you know, it's important, especially when you're young. You think, like, the biggest, shiniest ring is the biggest thing, you know? Like, you make such a big deal out of it. So the entire time I was there, getting paid, like, fucking $500 per paycheck, so $1,000 a month. I was saving everything I could to buy her a ring. And we got to First City Station, and I had nothing. I think I had like $500 because I spent $2,000 on her ring, and then it was right around Christmas time because I took Exodus, so gifts, and when we got there, I got lucky that my spouse had savings, and she upfronted the down payment for the apartment, for the car, food, lodging, until I started getting paid BAH and BAS.
What's BAH and BAS for people that don't know?
Basic allowance for housing and for sustenance. So the military will give you, depending on the SID code, they'll give you like an average of what the living cost or what the living cost should be according to the government. And so they give you money for rents, mortgage. They will not pay it in full. So let's say they give you $1,000, but your mortgage is $1,200. You pay the other $200 out of your own pocket. So yeah, I was broke, and definitely came from humble beginnings. But since it was so cheap to live there, and I was deploying so often, and every time it was technically I was getting paid hazard duty, step pay, separation pay because they're separating me and my spouse, hazard duty because I'm in a dangerous environment, tax-free zones, and I was also utilizing their savings systems that they have while you're deployed where they match you up to like 10%, I think is what it was. I was doing all that. So I was able to come up with good money at the time. My first deployment as an A1C, still paying all of the bills. I still pocketed 15 grand. My second one as a senior airman was a little more. And my last one as a staff was a little more. And then in the in-between time, we bought a home, a really good home that I regret selling. We bought it for $146. It just sold early this year for $280. That's like 4 years. I wish I would have kept it so bad.
Rented it out.
Mm-hmm. So we bought our first home. I started investing. My uncle was kind enough to take me under his wing. He had been trading in the market for a long time, mostly options. So he taught me a little bit about options. I started paper trading. He would give me like homework assignments. Hey, look into these companies. You know, they're about to do a stock split or they're about to merge, or hey, this company is focusing in electric vehicles. And this was about 7 years ago. So this, you know, they're trying to go into the electric. Tesla at that point was like $80. So I started doing that. And then I have a knack for it. It's funny because both my wife and I try to do it. We started learning at the same time, and we started trading at the same time, but she just could not grasp it. There were all my good days, because it's hard when you're in, you know, while I'm working, I have to obviously do my fucking job, especially as an airman. I don't have the luxury of sitting in an office at that time. So the trading hours, the market opened at 9:30, and that was like dead in the middle of our morning working hours. So like I would have to try to sneak away because, you know, at the opening of market, the first 30 minutes to an hour are the most volatile, where the biggest movements are being made, especially for like swings or day trade. And I would try to sneak away to, you know, make some quick trades because I enjoy the options and I made money off of the options. But at the time I was greedy, and what interests me the most was, to be honest, the day trades with the pump and dumps. And once I learned how to configure my Thinkorswim to show me the volume of, you know, stock that's being purchased before pre-market, and I could find those like the volumes in the millions, then I knew that was going to move quick. So I would just make trades real quick. Some of my best days, I was making like 1,300, 1,600 in like 30 minutes. And it was so cool because I just be sitting there and my coworkers be like, well, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I just made like my paycheck, and then I'd be done because I never really held stock. It was just pump and dumps. I joined groups that would tell you like, hey, this is going to move today. And so I watch all that. But it got to a point where as a staff, the expectations went way up and I couldn't do it anymore. And so I started losing money because I had to work. And so I decided I'm done with that. Also made me feel really greedy because I was just like, I had my job and then my second job was to prepare for the next day of trading. So I would go home and I just spent hours like watching charts, reading the news, what's going to happen. I started getting into pharmaceuticals and there's a lot of potential for good money, but like a lot of potential to lose your money so fast too. And then my wife called me out on it too. The pretty much like, you need to slow down. Like you're never pressing anymore. So I stopped doing that. South Carolina did a lot of good for us. Did a lot. And I guess it'll always hold like that special place in my heart for it. Life was simple. Just go to work, come back. My wife and I used to throw the frisbee in front of the house every day. I wait for her to come back from work. Let the dog out. The dog would be out in the front yard. We'll be throwing the frisbee for like 30 minutes, just talk about how our day was. Come back in, eat, watch Survivor.
Yeah, Survivor is older than we are, I feel like.
Yeah, well, it's
definitely older than Ray. But
wasn't Survivor made in like 2008?
No. Survivor's like on season 25. What are you?
They're in season 40.
Season 40?
Yeah.
It's definitely older than us then. Oh my god.
Bro, I don't know. I was just guessing.
Well, were they like pumping out nonstop seasons or did they have breaks?
Usually 2 a year.
2 a year? That explains a lot then. Yeah, I feel like it was early 2000s. Like 2000, somewhere between like 2000 and 2005.
2000.
2000?
Yeah, it premiered on March
When were
13th.
you born, Ray? 2002? 2003?
2001. Thanks.
Oh my god. Ugh. Kind of gross.
Kind of gross.
It is kind of gross. Herb always just throws me off a little bit. Not you, Cortes.
What is her?
You know that thing on your chin. I go out now.
It's a beauty spot. It's a beauty spot.
You ever watch Shrek growing up as a kid?
Yes, of course. Shrek is fucking classic. I literally quoted Shrek earlier.
You know
Correct.
the one manly like barkeep in Shrek. It's like the three.
It's the second one. Yeah.
Yeah, she got that quote unquote beauty mark on her face. That's what instantly popped in my head when you said it's a beauty mark.
Yeah.
Shrek is money.
Shrek is life. Shrek is life.
I'm fucking Puss in Boots.
Oh. So you're a cat? That's like 2 feet tall.
Yep.
Okay.
It's dope.
I can see him being a pussy.
He's got his little sword. What?
Definitely a pussy.
Have you seen the sequel to Puss in Boots?
I have not. I want to go watch it.
Oh, I will say I invited Dempsey to go watch it.
He said,
My wife and I. Yeah, he said no.
I haven't seen the first one.
what a dickhead.
So what? Just fucking go watch it.
I gotta see things in order. It's just how the way it works.
Well, then I asked him, "Are you ever going to watch them in order?" He said, "Probably not."
He's
what's the point?
he's so rude.
Yes.
I'll come watch it with you. I got you.
Okay.
You come watch Puss in Boots the sequel with him, and I'll go to the bedroom movie premiere with harmonica.
Harmonica. What a guy.
You know that dude I showed you a picture of in his gear? He's a washout, real short Hispanic guy.
Faintly.
Yeah, that's harmonica.
Oh wait, you just did that not too long ago, right?
Yeah. We were playing with him last night, and he just kept asking Ray. He's like, "Come to my room. We have a movie night."
No. He keeps on doing that, right? He keeps on doing that, right? Because I needed help picking up a chair because I put like a comfy chair in my room, like an ottoman kind of with like a love seat.
Yeah.
And so we went to go pick it up, and the lady never answered. So we went and got food. We're just trying to like kill time until she answered, right? And she wasn't answering. So he was like, "Yo, let's just go back to my dorm and we'll play Black Ops Zombies." I was like, "Hell yeah, dude! I haven't played Black Ops Zombies in like a minute." So we go there. We're sitting there for like 2.5 hours. We're on like round 50. Like my eyes can barely stay open from playing for so long. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to get a bigger TV tomorrow, so we have something bigger to play on." I was like, "All right, sick." But like, I have a living room and a comfy couch and a 75-inch TV. Why the hell would we play in your dorm room when I could sit at the own comfort of my living room, you know? And he's always like making the joke like, "No, come to my dorm, let's watch a movie." I'm like, "No, I'm not fucking going to watch a movie."
The atmosphere. You post up in this dorm, you're on the bed, you get some pizza pockets, you each get a cool liter of Dr. Pepper. It's the ambiance.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, if I didn't know you and you told me this story, I'd be like, "This dude is 100% coming on to you." But he is willing to buy a brand new TV so you will spend time with him.
No, he was gonna buy one anyways, but like
Allegedly.
it was a holiday that Monday, so apparently like the on-base store was closed or something like that.
Did he end up buying it?
Yeah, and then he invited me over again. And I was like, "No, dude, like you can bring your Xbox here. I'm gonna play in my living room. Like I'm gonna be fucking comfy."
To be fair, harmonica is like 4'9", so like how big of a TV does it need? A TV's probably bigger than me.
And I will say, Ray, it's not gay if you don't like it. Okay, so
you gotta try everything in life at least once, honestly, if you think about it.
yeah.
Shut up.
If you don't like it, it's fine.
And you're single, so you know the opportunity's there.
Shut up. No.
Look, obviously, women haven't worked for you. Some men may be the way for you to go.
I think you and Paul also has bad luck with women. So
Paul.
Paul, from high school.
Oh, Paul. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a worse track record though.
He has far less divorces.
It sounds like a match made in heaven. You and Paul.
Yeah, you and Paul.
Dempsey actually tried to get Paul and I to marry each other one time.
It would have been a sound plan, honestly. Think about where your life has gone to in this point. Paul, it sounds terrible. Tell me that wasn't a better alternative.
You're pretty much saying your life has been a fucking failure till this point.
I would say it's been a failure. But Paul and Ray would both be lying if they did not agree with me that if they would have listened to me, there would have been less bumps in the road.
I hate you guys so much.
Hey, look, even if you try it, you can still be the man in the relationship. So
No.
I would say put some thought into it. Have an open mind. You're a 2000s baby anyways, so it wouldn't be too far-fetched.
Gen Z.
If it swung that way.
Yeah, Gen Z.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Not gonna happen.
Right.
You're just being a bigot right now. You're not being very open-minded.
It's true.
I'm not open-minded at all.
Well, you can't. You can't be like that anymore. You have to accept everyone.
They're going to cancel you.
Cancel me. Bye.
This immediately helps. Just like that, Pondering Pennies became a one-man show.
Don't knock it until you try it.
What's the name? Fruit or vegetable you don't like, Ray?
I like all fruits and vegetables.
Okay, name of foods you don't like.
I like all foods.
That's a lie.
I like all foods.
That's a lie.
No, it's not.
It is.
You like Indian food?
Yep.
I know he doesn't like eggs.
I love eggs.
Oh, weird. Childhood would have led me to believe otherwise. You know, this man growing up as a kid, he wouldn't swallow his food for some reason. Ray refused to swallow food. It was like a human chipmunk. He would just shovel it into his mouth and his cheeks would be full of food, like a chipmunk storing up for hibernation in the winter, going to hide his little stash somewhere. He just would not swallow the food. He would just take bite after bite after bite after bite until the whole plate of food was in his mouth. You're like, this kid is going to choke and die. Like, what is going on right now? And he'd be like, he wouldn't be able to like close his mouth all the way because there's just so much food in there. And I'm like, there's something wrong with this kid. Like, he is, I tell you what, he's got something, there's fruit loose in his head.
I was fucked up because you would chuck Legos at me.
Chuck Legos at you.
You would throw things at me while I'm sleeping.
No, that's not what went down. I was on the top of the bunk bed. He was at the bottom of the bunk bed. Again, the kid has a screw loose for some reason. It'd be time to go to bed. He'd be happy all day long. You put him in bed, just screaming and crying. So what would I do? You know, after a couple handful of times that happened, I'd take Legos to bed with me. And then I would take a Lego and he's crying and I'd fling it down to the side underneath me and hit him in the head with the Lego. Like, hey, shut up. Anyways, we're sitting at the kitchen island one time and the dude is just shoveling eggs into his mouth, as always, right? And I make eye contact with him right as he sneezes. And it's like a food bazooka cannon comes shooting out of his mouth. It just hits me in the face. Just all this, I'm choking about it right now. Just all this wet egg hits me in the face. It was disgusting. That's
what you get for fucking chucking Legos at me while I was trying to sleep.
It's like when a dog's outside and they eat its own poop or a bunch of grass and it just shoots everywhere, and you're like, well, what are you even doing right now, kid?
No, I disagree.
Look, believe it or not, out of the four siblings, he's still probably the most reasonable of them. I just let you know what the other two are going through.
Like, all I'm saying, everything I've heard has pointed me towards believing that you paired up with another male would be ideal. Maybe then
because I spit my eggs out. Because I spit my eggs out.
Everyone knows gay dudes hate eggs.
I fucking love eggs. Every morning I have 3 eggs and like 50 grams of egg whites.
You're gonna go to Ray's Instagram and every morning you just like, it's his beard. It's his beard. Eggs.
Well, imagine next episode, Ray comes back and he's like, I put some thought into it, and you're right.
No.
Immediately taught me how to swallow. You know on your spit. I just swallow.
You sussy baka, you. Ooh, getting hot and steamy in here. You're gonna have to rate this one rated R.
I'm gonna
on Apple Podcast.
I'm gonna log off this podcast now. I'll see you guys later.
Well, we're closing in on an hour and a half here. I feel like we really hit all the topics. Yeah, we got your full life autobiography now. If you didn't know, Ray, we're having a game night here at the house. But, every text message I've gotten back so far is cannot attend. So, yeah.
Wow, just like last time, eh?
Yeah. So Sean won't make it. Because, Sean is just not going to come. You know who Sean is, right? Do you know those people's names?
No.
No.
Not at all.
I'm looking at Cortes right now. Sean is the bodyguard. Every time you attack me, the bodyguard comes running in.
Well, okay, I will say I figured that's what you were referring to when you said, like usual.
Yeah.
So he bailed on me earlier today as well.
Yeah, I knew when he asked to go shooting and stuff. I was like, yeah, you're going to bail on the whole day. So that's why.
I understand now.
Yeah, he's not going to go. No. No llamas, different show.
Oh yeah, no, I comprehend that.
And then Nate Dogg texted me no. And then what do Jewish people speak? What is their ethnic tongue?
Hebrew.
Hebrews?
You would know.
Yeah, I mean he's Jewish.
I know, that's what I said. You would know.
Hebrew guy bailed as well.
I'm trying to think who Hebrew
What is that?
What?
Who's the Hebrew guy?
The only dude we know that speaks Hebrew.
Oh, yeah.
Hebrew guy bailed.
Okay, Loki.
Yeah.
I like it better that way.
So
They can't keep up. We're young, energetic. They're old, crusty.
they're all deep into their 30s. Especially Hebrew guy. I thought he was like in between me and you, age-wise. Dude's turning 34 in like 3 weeks.
It looks good.
He does look good. Great skincare routine, you know?
I think honestly, though, I am glad because they are cool, but a lot of the times I feel like you and I are like what keeps not necessarily like the glue, but we keep the light, fun environments.
Yeah.
They're too serious.
I think he's trying to come on to you. You should probably get out of there.
He can come on to me all he wants, but right in arm's reach here. I got that Radian with that ADAC lower. I got that AGM 1935 thermal on top with the backup M-bus pop-up meg pull sights. I got that 300 blackout suppressor on it. Tell you what.
What's the length of the barrel?
Oh, that's neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there. It's compliant.
Oh, yeah.
It's compliant. That's all that matters, right? I don't want to document myself.
Yes.
Many people, I make like 200 of these a year, so I don't want to document myself by giving out the full specs.
I just got my own.
Secondhand, those are really the same.
It is. Same parts, same gun. I didn't have to wait 10 months for it.
There's something special about getting it straight from the dealer, though. You know what I mean? Straight from the source. It's kind of like buying a Rolex on the secondhand market. Anyone can do that.
It's not wrong.
It's still a Rolex, though.
It is. It is. It is.
I think you're just being picky.
Maybe. Coming from the guy who traded his Corvette for another Corvette.
It was an upgrade.
It was what?
It was an upgrade.
Okay. Fair enough. What do you got going on this afternoon, Ray? You got any plans? Or are you just gaming with Monica and mayonnaise?
Are you going to the door?
Right now it is almost 6:30. I have to be up at 3 a.m. So
you got to work.
Probably just gonna make some dinner,
Who works on Sundays?
watch some Netflix, and then wake up tomorrow morning.
Blacklist?
No, the new Outer Banks season came out. So
I've never seen that.
Isn't that like a chick flick?
No, it's
like toxic masculinity right now.
No, listen.
Mansplain, that's what that is.
It's about these two types of people. I forgot the names of it, but basically they're like looking for this treasure, and it's like there's just a lot into it that goes into about them looking for a treasure and getting arrested and running from the cops and moving to a different country.
I feel like it's 100% teenage drama.
Yep. He is the 2000s baby.
2000s baby.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. He's over there in the corner every time someone gets arrested, hitting him with the whoa, going shoot, popping his booty, going chupapi, new baby.
I mean, he probably is, to be honest. He didn't say no.
He didn't say no. His silence speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Some say a picture's worth 1,000 words. You're not denying this. Millions. Speaking millions.
I feel like if we just keep pushing steady, he'll finally come out.
He will come. It's 2023.
Yeah, that's normal.
You guys are dumb.
Before we end the podcast, before we end this episode, the real thing coming out, right? Do you think it's weird that coming out is a thing? Like, why do people come out? No one comes out and says, like, hey, I just want to let you know.
Mm-hmm.
So why do people come out as gay or bi or trans or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, if it's not a big deal and I shouldn't care, then why do you come out? Because it kind of makes it feel like I should care then, right? Because you're coming out. Like, you're taking the time to notify me of this.
Maybe, but what I think it is inner peace for them. And then let me tell you why. So
Fuck that inner peace.
let me tell you why. Let me fucking tell you why. And obviously, you need to find some inner peace because the reaction once again led me to believe you're hiding something. But a few nights ago, I was watching Brokeback Mountain. I've been wanting to watch it. I'm a big Jake Gyllenhaal fan.
You ever seen Brokeback Mountain? Huh? Never seen Brokeback?
Yeah, I have, but a long time ago. So I'm a big Jake Gyllenhaal fan, and then Heath Ledger is actually a really good actor as well, or was a really good actor.
R.I.P.
Have you seen the movie?
I saw it when it first came out, however young I was as a kid, with my grandma. So
It's probably awkward, slightly awkward. But
yeah.
what about you, Ray?
I don't think I have ever seen that movie.
So it's about these two cowboys that get a job for the summer watching sheep in some mountains in Wyoming. The mountain range actually called Brokeback Mountain. So they go up there for the whole summer, and it's just them two. The only other person they see is the person that restocks their food. Literally, their job is keeping eye on the sheep 24/7 and try to lose or the least amount possible to get the biggest profit for the rancher. So while they're up there, and one of them is married. While they're up there, they start realizing. I don't think they realized, but I think they always knew that they liked men. But back in that time, if you were homosexual, and you came out or people found out, you get fucking beat up, killed, especially in, rural America where it was cowboys and these manly men and don't look at me that way or, can I fuck around and find out? So they started, messing around. They kind of ended up falling in love. And the job ended, and they both went on about their lives. 4 years passed before they saw each other again, and then they realized, that they pretty much loved each other. And even though they were both married, had wives and kids, they still preferred to be with one another. Well, they never came out. And even if they did, they were so afraid of the retaliation. One of them, especially Jake Gyllenhaal's character, somebody pretty much ratted him out, saying that, yeah, he's gay. And they killed him. And so Heath Ledger's character was extremely sad because he lost pretty much like his soulmate. And that's kind of where I got the perspective of why coming out is important. And why it comes with that peace, Because look at these two men, and I know it's just a movie, but these two men loved each other, and all they wanted to do was be with one another. But because of the social norms at the time, they weren't allowed to be. So they lived a life of secrecy and unhappiness, and they were never happy or fulfilled. And that's why I think it's important for them to just say, yes, I am this or that, and I'm okay with that. And pretty much just let me be. Let me live my life happily. I think that's what's important. I don't know if y'all agree or not, but that's kind of what I got out of that movie that night.
Yeah, like I said, I watched it when I was like 8, so I don't remember much of anything. But I guess that makes sense. I don't know. I guess I gotta remember it hasn't always been 2023. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like you're not part of the majority now. If you're living some kind of alternate lifestyle, it doesn't have to be straight. You know, you can be a swinger or have some kind of weird kink, or be gay or trans or pansexual or whatever is going on in the different communities. The acronym continues to grow. But I guess that makes sense as like a form of self-fulfillment or whatever you want to call it. Dang, look at that. Look at the nuance you just brought to the table and explaining that. Very progressive of you. Very progressive.
Mm-hmm. I was saying it earlier, you got to adapt.
Right? Adapt, change.
Yeah.
Forget lose. Losing in war means death.
Die.
Do I so to hear it or not?
I will loop it back to Ray, though. It is okay for you to come out.
We're here for you. Paul also will be there for you.
Maybe,
might even want to be there for you.
Maybe your buddy at the dorms, hey, you going to watch TV or movie night with him is his way of saying, it's okay. Yes, it's okay. I accept you for who you are. Let's watch a movie.
And break some backs. All right. This has been episode 5 of Pondering Pennies. Cortes, thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me. I had a good time.
Beat your ass in Battle of the Sexes now.